Okay, so I'm back at the Craftsman flip that we started on, I guess, pretty much yesterday. Got quite a bit done. Got it painted, got the oil changed, and got the deck off, sharpened the blades. I welded a bracket. I was trying to record the welding process, but something happened to my camera. I get confused sometimes on when it's on and when it's off, and I made a video with the camera off, so I didn't get any of that footage. So I want to kind of go through some of the stuff that I was supposed to go through today. UPS is supposed to be here today, but they're not even at the facility. It's supposed to be here for 10:15 to 1:15, sometime in between there. Well, at 10:12 I checked, and my package wasn't even at the facility to be put on a truck, so I don't think it's coming today. So what I'd like to do today is get the gas tank taken off so I can get back in here to remove the cable for the mower deck engagement. And then I'd like to show you what I discovered last night while I'm over here, and I'd like to show you how to raise and lower the height of the mower deck. This one was sitting almost on the ground when the handlebar was all the way back. So let's start there. So I'll pull the brick out, and I did this yesterday, so you didn't get it was just me running in a bolt. So they set these about midway. I don't know what happens, but midway is terrible. Every Craftsman lawnmower that I run into is designed like this. John Deere's different, all of them are different, but Craftsman, they're all designed like this with these two bars that go up. Well, they set them halfway and they sit on the ground. So all you got to do on both sides is raise this bolt all the way up. That lifts this up higher, and it's probably a good, I don't know, inch and a half higher. It's not a lot, but it will get it higher. And then when I get the mower deck back on, I can check to make sure everything's operating correctly and make adjustments as necessary. Now the brake is concerning me on this one. So I noticed while I was underneath there adjusting the mower deck that there is no rod running from the brake to the brake pedal lever back over here. So I got to looking at it, and I wanted to order a new rod. So I went in there and I went to look, and there's two different rods. Well, I didn't know which one to get, but then it got a little bit more concerning because the diagram for this mower, this model number, shows an external brake. So an external brake, you'll see this right here. This is the brake lever, and I'll explain how this works in a minute. Underneath this, on an external one, there is a disc, a silver disc. Well, there's no disc here, so that means this is an internal brake. The brake is inside the transmission. Now, it operates the same way with this lever. However, the brake pad, and I'll try to explain this somewhat, will close on that brake disc out here. In here, there's a brake pad inside that presses up against, it's more of a cylinder inside the transmission. I don't think this is the original transmission to this lawnmower. I think it's been replaced. But then when I go around and I start looking at the bolts and different things, you'll see that this bolt maybe has some gouges in it. And then if you look, this one's upside down, or one of them's upside down. I don't know which one. So you come over here, and it's hard to see, but both of them on this side is got the threaded up, so that is wrong. So then I'm thinking, okay, yeah, this is probably not the original transmission. The other thing that was kind of was the tire came off very easily. Usually they get seized up, so you got to bang them off or get some sort of pulley or something. Well, this one just came right off. This has got to go back. That's something else you want to know. Think about when you're taking your tire off. Don't lose this. This pin has to stay. This holds the tire because there's a groove on the tire, or the rim I should say, that does the turning. If you lose this, the shaft will spin but the tire won't. Okay, so getting back to the brake. So what I noticed was when I tried to move this, it wouldn't move at all. It was stuck tight. So that tells me that they left the brake rod off when they replaced the transmission, either because it didn't fit or because this was stuck. Now it kind of makes sense that something had been seized up, because if the transmission had been sitting around and rain for a while and somebody finally decided to sell it on eBay, then it could have gotten seized up. So I took the adjustment nut. Now this is how you adjust the brakes. If all of a sudden you lose brakes on your lawnmower, even the disc brakes will have some sort of adjustment nut at this piece right here, which I'm going to take off. I'll show you. So we'll take this adjustment nut off. And then there's a washer. And then you have the brake control. Now, you'll notice maybe that this is bent. It's designed to be bent. And the reason is if I have a pin on the back side of this, I can control the depth of that pin. So as this is swinging to the shallow side, my pin will get pushed back. And the same with the other one. This will push the pin back. So these are the pins. So this is like the caliper assembly on your car. The caliper presses up against the brake pad. So these pins, they come out, are the caliper. And just like on your disc brakes, when you see the disc over here, it works the same way. It's designed a little different, it looks a lot different, but it works the same way. So these pins go in here and they press up against a brake pad, an actual, I guess, asbestos, I don't know, brake pad. So to give you an idea how this works, as this turns, as you push this lever back with the rod, because there's a rod that goes here, you push this back, this turns, pushing this pin in against the brake pad. The brake pad goes up against the disc and shuts it. It's a pretty simplistic design, actually. So I don't know if you can see it from the camera. So this lays up front. When you push it back, you can see the bend is that way, pushes up against those pins. Well, I guess what I forgot to tell you is when I got in here, these pins were seized. They wouldn't come out, they wouldn't move, they wouldn't do anything. So I took some penetrating oil and I sprayed it, and I took a pair of vice grips and I just started wiggling. Well, nothing happened. So I went in and watched some TV with Carolyn. Oh, I also took these nuts off here, or these bolts off here down to the bottom. I didn't know if that helped or not, but I thought if I could loosen it up a little bit, that might help. I don't know if it did, but so I went in there, watched TV with Carolyn for about maybe an hour, and I came back out here, sprayed it some more with that penetrating oil, and took that vice grip and just kept wiggling and wiggling and pulling and wiggling. Of course, the vice grip would slip off, and I tried again and slip off. Finally, it broke loose. And when I got over to this one, it was a lot easier to get off than this one for some reason. But anyway, they both came out. So I took some sandpaper, I cleaned them up. So now all I've got to do is wait for a rod that I got off eBay. Now I don't know if that rod's going to fit, because like I said, there's two different things getting in my way on that. One, there's two different rods. If this had been the original transmission, there was two different rods that I had to deal with, and I didn't know which one to get. One's longer than the other. So the only, and the parts weren't available. You couldn't buy them. So the only one I could find out of the two rods was the shorter rod. And I thought, well, you know what? This is not going to be a big deal. If it's too short, I got some metal. I'm going to weld it. You know, I'll cut it, the rod. I'll put a piece in there and I'll weld it. That won't be a big deal. I can do that. Okay, so now we're at the gas tank. And these in the engine compartment tanks are not hard to get out. It's two bolts. Okay, so now there is a, this is the cable, this is the engagement to the mower. Back here is the cable. This is going to be hard for you to see. So instead of me getting the camera down here and trying to figure out how to get you to see it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect it, and then I'm going to take the cable out, and then I'm going to show you what it is. But there is a bracket right here with a hole in it that the cable runs through. So I'm going to try to take that bracket out, or not the bracket, the cable, through that hole. There's a clamp on it, on the cable, that you got to squish. Now, the funny thing about this is I struggle with this every time I try it. And then when I get it, I'm like, oh, that's right, that's how you do it. I always forget how to do it. Okay, so now I know why I always have trouble remembering how to take the cable off. It's because someone's always messed with the cable. So at the end of this, there's supposed to be a plastic cup, half cup, I don't know how to explain it, that wraps around a peg, and you slide that on there. If I get the new one today, I will show you how it works, but that must have broke on them, so instead of replacing the cable, they rewired the whole thing. They just wired it around, and it was tough to get off. And then when you look at the other end, they've completely messed this end up also. They've put this entire spring assembly on it with wires and, I mean, just all kinds of garbage. I don't even understand what's going on here. So that is not a hard thing to assemble, because what you do is you come over here, and I don't think it's supposed to be a washer. That's not a washer. You take this pin off, you slide the cable loop around this, you put the washer back on, you put the pin back on, that's all there is. And now that pulls that. When you pull the cable, it comes from back here, right here actually. That pulls the cable like that. I know it's hard to understand how to order parts, but the best way to do it is underneath the side of your tractor for the lawnmower, not the engine, the lawnmower. And on Craftsman, it's right here, 917.273522. You put that into Google, and you hit part, and you type in parts list, and there'll be like 3 sites. I always use Jack's small engine, and it'll come up with diagrams, and you go to the right diagram, and then you scroll down, and you'll see all the parts for whatever you're looking at, the mower deck, whatever, the chassis, and you can just find the part you're looking for. So you go to number 25, you click it, and it'll tell you the part number for that, what you're looking for. And if you don't want to buy the expensive online ones, you go to Amazon. Amazon will pop up with a aftermarket. I did this off camera. I didn't think you'd really care to see me putting JB Weld on the cracks in the gas tank, but that turned out okay. Yes, it's a different color, I know, dramatic, but it saves I think it's $30 for that gas tank. So yesterday I got an email from UPS saying that the parts would be here today. Now I live in this strange area where we're 1% of the population, They did this test back in May 2023, I think, that said they were going to limit deliveries to certain areas, 1% of their delivery route. Well, I happen to fit into that. What are the odds? I guess it's quite high, but still. So they sent an email yesterday saying that parts will be here today. I knew they weren't going to be here today. They're not even at the center that delivers to us. So without sending an email confirmation, without doing anything, I just checked the webpage and they changed it. Now remember, I checked the webpage earlier today. They changed it to Thursday, so this is Tuesday, so they won't bring it out tomorrow because we're on that limited service. I mean, that's okay. I'm not in a huge hurry, but I would like to have shown you that cable, but I think I was able to explain it well enough. So we're moving along on this. There's a big sale, you know, one of these yard sales, community yard sales, down the road from us in the town. We live outside the city limits. So I would like to have this ready by the 19th, but it's not going to be because that bar for the brake bar, won't be here until the 18th. There's just no way I'm going to be able to get that put together quickly enough, I don't think, especially if I got to cut it and weld it. Oh well, got one sitting up there now, so maybe that'll be enough. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you yesterday's video where I was talking about, well, all kinds of stuff. I did a lot of work on this, so if I can inspire you, don't let UPS get on your nerves when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.